Okay, so we're going on bind, turn sheets on. Alright, so I guess we'll start. So if I'm like, anytime I'm talking, if you have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to just let me know. And you can interrupt me whenever you want, since I don't know if I'll stop talking otherwise.
Okay.
We'll start with defaulting on T side then, because probably easy to do this way, or anyway, it
So
doesn't really
hard.
matter.
We can't do it. We all always go 5 to a site. Like we
No,
just can't.
it's
Like
so you need
it's
set
so hard.
places. People need to know where they're going and kind of have it kind of have it in mind already. Okay.
My ult's ready.
All right, so we will start on T side. So generally the principle when you default is that you want to get like utility out, or you want to achieve something. So typically you just have set people in set locations, and you're doing a similar thing every time. So let's just say, for example, like Alvina plays Raze, and her default is, you know, to go somewhere like here and throw this bot, and then she walks up hook. She makes sure it's clear outside. This bot checks the left, and she can get pretty much in hookah for free and get control of this area. And sorry, my settings are kind of weird on this account, but once she has this place, she's essentially just defaulted hookah, and knowing that there's nobody in hookah is really valuable information for you. Because let's say you're on the CT side, or defender side, and you know the enemy's in hookah, or you hear a bot in hookah, and let's say they're not actively contesting hookah, they now have to worry about more than one person being in hookah, and it just creates map control in hookah for you. So this is something that Alvina can do alone if they're playing passively, or if she's being contested, maybe she'll need 2 or at most 3 people, but that's like the upper limit of it.
Wait,
And
if I
go
do
for it.
this, I go all the way up into hookah. I want
Well,
them to see me.
it's so you're making presence, right? If you're actually defaulting, everybody is pretty much making noise. Nobody's really trying to be like silent about it, because it's just a default. You know, like this bot makes enough noise for them to know that you're at least outside market at the start of the round. And once you do this, you pretty much do it every round, because the second they see you not do it, they assume you're going A, or they're going to assume that something's different than a default. So you pretty much do it every round, and that just this bot is really good because it guarantees you hookah control, and their counterplay is to send like 2 people to contest it. And if they do that, then, you know, you can keep doing it. Just maybe if you want to fight it, bring a friend. If you don't want to fight it, it's just good to know they have somebody in hookah also. So that's pretty much the hookah default. That's like the concept of defaulting. When you default, it can bait other teams into using utility early. It can bait a rotate if they're, you know, playing against you for the first few rounds. Something like that. And it's just a good thing to do, because there are very few gaps in a proper default. So another example, like we go long here. Typically for a default, you'd have one area where you're trying to work a bit more aggressively. So an example would be like 1 long, 2 hookah, and then 1 short and 1 showers. And the people short and showers, they're still trying to get utility out and poke info around, but they're not looking to take aggressive fights. They're not looking to work up the area, just contain the space you already have. So in showers, you wouldn't let them, you know, you wouldn't let them exit showers, you wouldn't let them flank you. And on short, it's the same principle. You can play like tucked in this cubby up top and just jiggle it once in a while here, and you don't let your teammates get flanked in this default. And then your 2 hookah players and your B player are the ones that are making something happen. They're the ones who are trying to create extra space than that. And this is something you can decide whenever you want. Like, whoever your IGL is, if you don't have one, anyone can call it really. But it's like you can say, let's default, but send 2 hookah, and then it's just saying that people should know where they're going and what their job is. Because Alvina playing Raze is going to default hookah every single round, and ideally each of you has a place you're comfortable fighting and comfortable defaulting. Like usually for me personally, I default belong. There's a tech you can do. You can get up here, you can jump on this wall, and this is a pretty off angle to fight. When people on the other team peek this angle, most people will peek at something like this, and this is like a high cross replacement relative to, you know, the ground level. But when you're on this wall, you're even much taller than that. And if you can hit that shot, fantastic, and you get long control pretty easily. So that's my personal default, but everyone should just have their own place they want to play. And this is, your agent matters somewhat, but it's not a huge deal. Like, typically on Bind, the only, I don't know, quote-unquote rules are that Raze will default hookah, and, like, Cypher defaults showers. Outside of that, it's pretty up in the air. Any questions at this time, or comments or anything?
if we play Sage, should we play Cypher too?
You'd play both of them. Let me think. You'd play Brim, Sage, Cypher, 2 duelists. Yeah, that sounds appropriate.
We're just like seeing Sova being kind of OP. Like, what if we have Sova instead of Cypher, or like Sova instead of something?
If you were to do that, you'd swap Sage for Sova or a duelist for Sova.
Okay.
You don't really want to drop Cypher on Bind though. I'll talk more about that on CT side on defense since that's when it's more relevant. But you don't really want to play without Cypher. It gets pretty difficult, or it can be. So that's that. There's a lot of like complexity that goes into working a default. It's like teams that are very good usually opt to run a default, and then through their default they'll find a lot of space. Like let's say their 2 hookah players kill one on hookah, and after that nobody moves. People don't like the A players don't just run straight to B and look to like burst B or anything. It's just they keep the control and they keep the pressure up because I mean you took a player out, it's a 5v4 and you still have your same forward positions. And if you can keep working picks off that and kind of catch them in the middle of the rotations, you get a lot of value. That's like the deep purpose of defaulting. That's pretty complex to do, and it's hard to do as a team, but that's just for your knowledge why defaulting is good. It makes it so you can't get fast flanked. It gives them a lot of time to waste their utility based on the stuff you use, and it gives you a lot of the info that can help you. Like you can sniff out oppers this way, you can find where different agents are playing, stuff like that. So like an example of the op thing, I don't know how often you guys encounter it, but if you know someone's opting, you don't know where they are, you'd have to like jiggle it or play it a bit safe. So if I was defaulting hookah, I'd send this bot up, I'd walk up with my bot pre-round, yada yada, and this bot will see the opper hookah. Let's say somebody breaks it. Let's say somebody with a rifle is standing about there and they shoot my bot. And now I know there's at least one hookah, and there's a good chance that this guy's baiting for an op and hookah too. So then you can take your knife out, just jiggle it a bit, and that's how you can like jump peek it if it's something you can do. Jump peeking is more ideal in my opinion, and knowing that you can find the opera and find where people are playing a bit easier, even if you're alone, it's still pretty safe to do. On B long, it's getting on the wall, like I said, is what I prefer. And when operas peek this angle, they very rarely will beat you if you're on the wall. You can't do it every single time, but it's something that's good to have in your playbook. And same principles like A short and showers. A lot of it is just jiggling, because if you die to an opera early round, it's really bad. So here you could probably jump spot this. You can just jiggle this if you want. You can just pre-wall bang it too. Anything works. But operas can play up there. They can play down here. Opera can walk up here. It's a common peek for Jet. She just comes here, takes a peek, and dashes sideways to about there. Stuff like that. When you're more, when you play against it and it happens to you a lot, you'll start being more ready for it. And it's impossible to give all the scenarios where you can die to an op, but just something to keep in mind. And as you play, if you are like struggling against an op, you want to just think about how you can negate that advantage they have. Apart from that, go for it.
Do you suggest defaulting even against a really passive team? Because I feel like we just played against a really passive team and they still had just all of their util out, even though we're not doing the same default you're talking about, but we did play like what we thought was a default, where we tried to bait util and they just didn't do it. Like,
so defaulting, it's good because you can get at util, but it's not required. A lot of the times, like let's say you and 2 people get in, you and someone else get into hookah, and once you're in hookah, you can just take your fights here. This comes down to player comfort level, but like fighting CT, I'm personally pretty comfortable with. Fighting on site, not too hard. A lot of wall bangs you can do. Like this wall bang will hit someone holding on site here, holding for long. That hits them around this angle. Just knowing how to fight your default location is really important because that's the only way to really get advantage of it. If the other team really isn't using any utility and they're just giving you all the freedom in the world, it's really good to like burst on them. So this is kind of a CT side thing, but let's say you're playing B defense. If you let a team come up in hookah and up B long and execute on you, you will never win. It's just it's impossible to hold that. So if they let like 4 of you get up and do all your util, get your set stuff out, and they only have 2 or 3 on site, it's heavily in your favor. So just the default helps you get in that position, and it helps you capitalize on that part of playing. But that also requires you to be comfortable in your like bursts or your 5-man rushes, whatever you want to think of it as. But I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Okay, you can honestly, it's defaulting and playing for picks is really hard, but if it's just good to default every round to just make sure nothing strange is happening, like they're not running like some kind of like 4-man push somewhere or 3-man push somewhere, and then you can go into your strat. So whenever I used to play on a team, I used to call like a super fast A take. Like let's say our play is to brimble at U-Haul and then just like do a take A with Sage Wall. when this play is called, everyone still defaults for at least like 3 seconds. Like if I'm raised, I just throw my bot and I walk out. And this just guarantees they don't like gamble stack you or fast rotate on you too early.
That's smart. We
And-
don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah.
No, most
Yeah,
people
we're, like,
don't.
once we're
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
We get ready at A, but I guess
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
we get flanked really fast.
You almost never skip a default unless let's say you're ecoed or let's say you really think you can like this fast timing will help you in some way, then you can go for it. Like if you're really confident Jet's opting B this round, maybe you don't default because if she's opting here and she sees a bot come out but no person, then she's pretty confident that you're faking, and then she'll be like, you guys can rotate A right now, and then she'll like walk push, run CT, whatever she wants. But other than that, you pretty much always default. It's just a good habit to have, and it really hurts you, and it can help you a lot. Apart from that, defaulting A, it depends how aggressive you want to take this, but typically the A default is alone. I'm pretty comfortable taking this fight here when people walk in a cubby. This is really important that when you A default, you either want to have somebody here who's challenging this, because if you don't watch that, they can walk in a cubby before you see them from the right side. It's just a timing that this person can always hit. And if you let them play cubby and they have something like a Phoenix with like a flash out right here, you know what I mean, a flash out right here, they can easily like run like a 2v3 or 4 on you if you're all not expecting it. And same with like showers. You don't want to let them get up too close showers. Not sure if everyone knows this. I'm sure some people do, but if you're the showers player on defense and you walk up with your knife, and you can walk all the way into this corner without making any noise, and the person here cannot see you unless they make noise. So if you walked showers, there can be someone on your left already. It's pretty easy to deal with. Just make sure you do. If you go all the way back to the back wall, you can see their knees sticking out, or their gun, or their legs, either or. But just something to be aware of. There are a lot of these little little things people do, and the more you play against that kind of stuff, the more it'll get ingrained in like your playbook or whatnot, and that'll help you deal with it. But just general guideline for some things that can harm you. Apart from that, I think that's most of default. I'll cover the showers default real quick. This is actually a pretty tricky default. I never play Cypher, so I don't have deep insight on it. But typically, you just cam showers every single round, like either here or deep. And with this cam, you just guarantee showers control. And you don't necessarily want to walk up, but you want to at least make sure they can't push you for free. So maybe you just jiggle this for like a minute straight. It might be really boring, but that's just your job. And this default is really important because if they end up contesting showers and you can avoid dying, it tells your team that there's 2 showers and the other 3 are spread really thin. So it lets you like call something like let's group together A shore or hookah or B, and let's do a burst while there's still showers, that kind of stuff. So yeah, the point of defaulting also, you want to spot out these unusual pushes or anything strange they're doing, like if they're doing like a 2-3 man push short A. Once you find that information, you can just like book it B instantly. So let's say I'm defaulting A and I jiggle this, I see nobody, I come here, it's all fine. Look at you haul, it's all okay. And then I come over here, I check this, and let's say I kill one and I get killed, and I know there's 2 people still on A playing some kind of weird crossfire setup, whatever. My call then is like there's still 2 more A, only 2 B, just book it B, burst B. And if you can't win the 4v2 on B, then you just have to work on that more than anything else. But that's like you want to be able to see the timings to call the fast takes. That's what works a lot, especially when people are less coordinated. If you can manage to find even like a little timing where you can burst on people, it's really successful. And yeah, so onto the whole like taking a site concept. A good portion of it is utility. Another of it, the biggest thing though, you don't need too many like set plays or set areas to go to, things like that. But you need to look at the map and have pretty fast map reactions, and you need to be with your teammates. So I'm sure all of you know what trading is. In like reality, I don't know if you realize it or not, but trading is like something super hard to get down. Like even the pro teams like have issues trading. It's something that like imagine a world where I'm just holding hookah like here, and I'm holding it like this, and the first person comes in, I kill them, and I have time to unpeak, and I don't die here because my teammates on site are helping me fight also. This means that the person who came in here, it's very hard to trade this person. To do it properly, the other guy has to be literally right behind you. It has to be like you have to be pathing almost together, and then you almost guarantee a trade. So that's like the ideal scenario, but it's something that's really hard to achieve for anybody. The next best case scenario is you're close enough for you to guarantee this 1-for-1. So essentially what I'm getting at is that you just never want to get 1v2'd by people. And if you are, you want to just take a look at that and think about why it's happening. Maybe the second person is way too late, maybe the first person isn't really taking the fight properly. Like they're just kind of like half-assing and just like straight up running out and just hoping for the best that they'll win. Any of these scenarios, I kind of said it a bit because I know you do it sometimes. No, a lot of people.
Actually, we were going on
Yeah.
a ascent today. I just like threw 2 of my flashes and then died.
A lot of people like a lot of people get in that habit of doing that.
Literally just like into that map. Oh my god.
No, it's easy to like a lot of entries fall in that trap. Like they think their job is just to find the first person and like it's good, but in reality, if you can win that first fight, it's so much better, right? So
That's true.
doing getting in that mindset's good too. So once you know why you lose the 1v2s or 1v3s, then you can work on fixing them. It's really important that you just really tunnel on your trades though. So that also leads into like crossfires, and this is kind of how you play post plants. You don't need to have like extremely set plays everyone needs to play, but you do need to be able to adapt. So let's say we do a pretty clean site take. Okay, we kill 2 people, like hook a site or whatever, and like 4 of us are on site, and they have nobody who's rotated here yet. Like you have all the time in the world to find good positions. So there are optimal ways to do it or not, but it's really hard to call those in a moment. Like I'm sure you could find like a placement that's statistically the best, but like that's really hard to pull out during a game. So just go with something you're comfortable with. For me personally, I like to be an elbow a lot. So if I know we have like a pretty fast burst and a good timing, I'll just knife out elbow. I'll bring a friend. I'll say, hey, like Brimstone, come with me. I'll tell somebody on the map who's near me to come with me, because if you don't and just say someone come with me elbow, it's way too vague. If you're calling the play, you call for the help too. And once I say that play, I maybe play here, get an off angle, I just crouch and hold this, and my teammate maybe is on this wall, ready to jiggle and help me at any second. And once we're both here, we should at the very least get like a 2 for 2 here, and ideally you get more than that. If your first person wins this fight, which they should, I'd say this person holding here has like a 70% chance of winning this, if assuming everyone's mechanical ability is pretty similar. Like once you win this fight, this person peeks, and if they're like going elbow together as 2, the first person dies and the second person goes to trade, and as he goes to trade, the person on the wall kills him too, and you have a 2 for 0. And stuff like that is just what you want to do. You don't need to be in the perfect place, but you have to play around your teammates properly. And that's something that you can just work on by, the biggest thing is looking at the map and finding out what your teammates like to do. It's really hard to build synergy in general. It's really hard to know what the other person's thinking, but the closer you can get to it, the better. So, you know, that's why it helps to calm your teammates and say, hey, come elbow with me. We have a timing. If you need it, like, if you just say come elbow with me and they'll do it, fantastic. But if they need some justification, which sometimes people do, just be like, come elbow, I think we have a timing. You know, whatever you want to say and make it work. Another crossfire you can do, you can just make these up as you go. You know, one person's here, you know there's a couple CT, your flank is all clear. This person holds here, and one's in the 2, ready to swing at any second. And once this person takes contact, you can swing all the way around, you can hold, and this person can swing. You know, anything works. But just, you want to have these concepts in mind, and you don't want to be taking all your own 1v1s. If you're taking like 4 1v1s, you have a huge chance of losing the round. And postplants are OP because you have this time to set up, and they have to funnel through like a set corridor. Apart from that, when you plant B in general, though, there are some general guidelines I like. I like to have elbow control for starters. If you can't have it, it sucks, but I prefer to have it. I also like to have control of the flank. So if you can have one person at least in hookah watching flank, that's great, because then this person on site doesn't have to worry about that as much, and you can spend more resources watching CT. Like this box angle, I like it a lot. It's a headshot angle. I rarely lose there, but I cannot play here unless I know I have hookah control. And there's also a timing that goes into it. So I could be holding this for like 15-20 seconds. And after this timer's kind of hit, I know in my head that they could have flanked all the way through short and gone long. And then I'll get off my angle and maybe I'll path into octagon instead. But if everyone can be aware of these like mental timings, it's really beneficial to your post planning. Because that way people won't say, oh my god, he's elbow already? Or, you know, stuff like that comes out a lot. And if you just keep your mental awareness as high as you can, then you can try and mitigate those kinds of things happening. Apart from that, on B, it's not great to play backside here anywhere. It's just, it's pretty like, you only end up playing like this if you're like really crunched for time or your plant wasn't that clean. Like if you burst on B and it took a long time, you killed one and one ran away CT, and you just have to plant here and like come here. You know, it's okay. And in that case, you just need to win your aim duels. The person here maybe even wants to play anti-flash because you know they're you're gonna Euro flash, sky flash, whatever, and they can play anti. And as soon as the flash comes out, they turn back around and then look to fight. But things like that, if you get abused somewhere, you just want to adapt. So my example there was more like, let's say you played here one round and then you got blind and then you just insta died. The next time you do that, maybe you can play anti here instead. So a lot of things you can do to kind of play around and adapt, but the key is that you try and do it mid game And the better you can do that, the faster you'll just improve and learn as a whole.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We play Sage on this map. We try to wall elbow. Is that like
That's totally
not
fine.
ideal?
So if you have like a really clean take and you have the timing to go elbow, you don't need to wall it. The wall elbow is really good if like your clean's kind of sloppy, this is smoked, and you know there's still a guy here, and he's kind of looking to burst through a smoke or something, and you wall him off. It's really good for you because you just saved at least one person. But if you have like a super clean take, let's say this guy, let's say you're running like a default, and your player just walks out here and pre-fires and kills that guy in elbow, and then he runs on the site, kills the side player. That take is really fast, and you know there can be nobody else here. Your game sense should tell you whether they're playing 2 or 3 on B based on what's happened so far in the game. And knowing that, you can be like, hey, site's completely open, just book it. And then this person after those 2 kills can run elbow, and they can be anywhere they want. They can get ready to flash and peek CT. They can hold the off angle. They can play a more passive off angle. Anything you want works. But if you do have like a sloppy take, then yeah, you can wall it. But the thing about those sloppy takes is that it gets harder to play the post plant. One thing you can do to help yourself if you're in that scenario is plant somewhere around here. If you can plant here and you have hookah control, which you can almost always get hookah control unless they like super fast flank you, which is less common but possible. But let's say you don't have elbow control, so you wall it, but you do have like most of sight for now and hookah. You can just plant here and do your best to just run away long, run away hookah, and you can play the bomb and climb here. When it's planted here, the person can actually stick it without being killed from hookah. So it's not ideal to plant there if your only option is to play hookah and long. But yeah, the cleaner your take is, the more places you can play and the more opportunities you have to play different angles. So yeah, Sage Wall is not bad, but if possible, you might not want to use it.
Suggest like walling CT or something instead.
So I think it's best if you use it on a certain timing. So let's say you kill 2 players really quickly on site. Your take is really clean and CT still smoked. The Sage can like literally just walk up here and hold their wall out and maybe wait like, I don't know, like 7 seconds. You have your own mental timer on how fast the rotate is. It should just be something you have in your mind, you're thinking about. But if you wall it a bit more delayed, like let's say you're walling it as they're coming up, it buys you a little bit more time and it doesn't put you in any more danger really if you're on the right timing. But walling CT is fine. If you don't have anyone elbow, walling elbow late is also good. I think the key, it's just better to not use your wall too fast, because if you use your wall as like really early, it fades by itself and it breaks a bit quicker. But apart from that, it's really up to you. Sage walls are really useful in post plants just because they guarantee that something's being watched for a certain amount of time. But just make sure everyone knows really clearly when it's broken, or if there's like a gap or something bad happens, stuff like that. But you can wall anything. There's even like when you're posting sloppy, you can even wall like sight here, and you can like play along this tube to look for like a headshot angle, and you know they can't go right, so it saves you a little bit of coverage. But it's mostly just about adapting to whatever's happening to you. Yeah, that's about it I can think of for that. Moving on, I'll talk about like an A take real quick. So a lot of people struggle with the A take because they don't want to go U-Haul. That's the biggest thing I think people make a mistake of. There's a really common A take. I think you guys do this already. It's just, you know, you brim smoke here, you brim smoke like 2 smokes here, or
Omen.
you play Omen.
But like CC smokes are like they're fine. They work for us. It's like on that box and then like the right side of default.
Oh, you mean like
There,
here
and
and
then-
here?
Or
Yeah,
whatever.
top of
wait, what
truck
is-
and then yeah, true.
Yeah, and then like right side of default. And we usually don't get peeked from default like from these smokes.
Okay. So at least before, when Sage was really meta, I'm talking mostly in terms of stuff you do with Sage, because nowadays it's a lot more hectic. But before, I used to play out in a really organized way when people were playing Brim and Sage a lot still. The typical play here is okay, obviously you're still defaulting first. This is just mid-round, you decide to go A and you have an A tick. Typically 4 people go short A and 1 person lurks showers. So this person is going to be like pretty much like literally AFK, just here holding like an off angle or something that they're comfortable winning, and they don't go showers until pretty late in the round. Your 4 people A are they're just straight up booking onto site. Okay, let's say you clear everything, your 4 people going in, the smokes come down, and Sage goes to wall here and then plant the bomb, and then you have 3 people who are kind of AFK. These 2 or 3 people should just go U-Haul instantly and do their best to trade this and clear it as soon as they can. The thing is, you have to go U-Haul, and you cannot let the U-Haul player just like live and pick you for free. You have to just deal with that. And this take is really good because it's hard to counter because the smokes, at least the brim ones or omen ones, you can do this with omen smokes too. It's just a little bit more telegraphed. It's not the worst thing in the world, but
Oh yeah, because it's not.
because they don't come down at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
these smokes just let you get the wall down, and once the wall's down, you're chilling, and you just take U-Haul, and it's so free. And then when you play U-Haul for the post plant, you have one person playing somewhere in this corner. I like to play a little bit off center, crouch for the off angle, and then one person is going to be right here playing the bait and switch. And this person in the corner always takes contact. You do not peek at all until this person fights. Once this person shoots, you pretty much swing instantly. And then, you know, if things go well, you come out with a 2 for 0. If not, 1 for 2, it's still okay. And that setup is just really good in U-Haul because teams will very rarely send more than 2 people U-Haul on a retake. So this setup guarantees that you kill 2 pretty much. Or you should. Let's just put it that way. And because this wall is up, your side players can just go back and play short. They can play, you know, in pocket or in cubby, sorry. And your showers player can just AFK for a long time. And once the bomb's timer is going down, maybe the showers player thinks he has a play. He or she can walk up here and just kind of listen. And a lot of this is audio. As a showers player, you're kind of lurking a bit. Let's say that like the wall's already broken by now. The bomb's still planted there. It's like a 2v1, and when you have one U-Haul, and then you know the showers player can find a lot of value from their position at this point.
Wait, they
But
just don't do anything?
they cannot die. Okay, so you can do as much as you want, but you just cannot die. Because the second you die, your post plant it's a lot weaker since they just know showers is clear and they can like hard book it into U-Haul and clear a short.
If we send 2 people showers, is that too much?
I mean, if you get the take on A, it's fine. But if you have trouble taking U-Haul, then you need to send another U-Haul. Because having showers control.
I don't think we have trouble taking U-Haul.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
actually
think I
something
like
we're
going
pretty
U-Haul.
strong with.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah.
why we're sending people shower because we don't have control of sight, and it's really hard for us to like hold
But
sight. Like
for example,
after.
though, the last round of the game, literally where we lost, I was the only one showers. I cleared the one on site and the one heaven, but I don't know what happened short with you guys because everybody died. So, did we really have hookah control? I mean, did we really have U-Haul control or no? That's kind of what.
I mean, usually
I
we
whiffed
do,
on the
yeah.
Reina
I
guy.
think
I
you're
think
just talking about an off round. Like
I think-
usually we're pretty strong with U-Haul.
Yeah, I also held the obvious angle. She just
So
killed me.
one thing that happens a lot, like if you are playing U-Haul, let's say you're playing U-Haul and they break your stage wall, you still have like 4 alive. There's like 1 short, 2 U-Haul, and you have your player shower still, but they break the wall and they're all like swarming site. You don't, as U-Haul players, you don't want to come out and fight this. You can take like a really quick like peek and the jiggle. Maybe you take like 2 shots at most, but if you're ever in risk of dying, you don't want to be there. And you can just push U-Haul. You know, you can just do a delayed push U-Haul. If you 2-man push U-Haul during a post plant, it's it's not what people are used to. And you can set up like a crossfire with your showers player here. You guys can peek site at the same time as you're cleaning short. But it's just, you don't want to peek from this side because it's something everybody holds and it's not very favorable for you. Most people can fight this angle pretty comfortably now. So that's just, it's something that might help you guys. Since I know it's really common nature for people to be like, oh, I need a peek site to help my person in pocket or whatever. But sometimes, you know, they're just going to die. Like if you plant the bomb and you're still pocket like in the like a legit post plant and a retake, you're probably just going to die. It's not something your teammates can really help you out of because if you peek to help this guy pocket, then you have to swing pretty wide to really trade someone. And if you do, then you're obviously going to get destroyed from someone else's site. And it's better just to play your positioning and you can 2-man push U-Haul since very rarely will someone sit here and just wait here while their teammates are retaking a site. So all you need to worry about is like default and front site, stuff like that. Apart from that, yeah, the big thing about that A take, we used to just call it the sage wall take, is just that you have to take U-Haul successfully and you have to not die showers. And once those 2 conditions are met, you have like a really high success rate in the round typically. If you do end up running brimstone, this take becomes like broken as hell since you can just throw a molly and the molly just denies the round like so many times. The brimstone player does have to be aware of the flank pretty like acutely, but apart from that, it's pretty simple to run. It's like a very methodical strat, like I said, and it's just like a really easy clean take. Like I've run it a bunch of times, even against teams that were stacking it, and you still come out on top. It's just there's not much counterplay if they're playing it wrong. Apart from that,
I
anyone
have a
go for it?
question.
Yeah.
What if we die U-Haul, or what if shower player dies? Like, but we already have our wall of bombs down. Like, what is it just lost? Like, how do you
So
play then?
okay, so like I said, the key is like adapting. So it's really hard to imagine these scenarios, but let's just pretend that you have 2 U-Haul and you guys are holding U-Haul fine, but your showers player died just now as you were planting the bomb and the bomb's down. So that means what you have left is like one planting, one short, and like 2 U-Haul ish, something around there. This isn't like bad at all, but this also comes down to like what ults you guys have. Assuming no one has any ults, you're already in like you're in a 4v4, which isn't disadvantaged, but people have to win some aim duels in this scenario. So if the person who plants the bomb, you should try not to go pocket ever. It's pretty hard to play. At the very least, you should try and make it into this cubby here. And if you can make it in this cubby, you're still going to be useful, because in this scenario, just imagine there's one person here in this cubby. You still have your 2 U-Haul set up, and you know your guy's still short watching the flank. And knowing the flank is covered is huge. And once you get here, you kind of switch it around a bit. The adaptation here is that you're just really like tunneling on keeping U-Haul under control, and your short player just has to not die. And once you can ensure these conditions, you'd tuck in U-Haul instead of peeking it. And when your player here gets peeked, then you would peek out and try and trade it. And this whole time, this U-Haul player might have to take a bit more aggressive of an angle and just make sure you don't die for free as you're like getting ready to swing out. But these adaptations are things that people have to kind of recognize mid-game, since you can't prepare for all these scenarios. It's really difficult. So it's just something like you have to think about what's happening and the best way you can play it. And in the scenario where you lose showers, and because once you lose showers, they're just going to either storm U-Haul or just like flood sight and short and do their best to just like take aim duels with you and just beat you with raw numbers or utility, whatever they want. And they'll like smoke you off short. They'll do all these sorts of things. And then, you know, your adaptation is just playing here. Maybe this guy is playing in the smoke, ready to swing out too, and you're playing U-Haul ready to swing. And when they swing to kill your person here, all 3 of you kind of can take a little fight, and it might work out for you. But in the end, it does come down. Sometimes you just have to, you know, win your aim duels. Not many
I think
secrets.
one of the main reasons we're actually sending 2 showers for site control is because, like I said, we were playing against a passive team who had all of their util up still, and so my wall and like the planting was really difficult because they had Silver, they had Raise Nade, and something else too. I don't like Molly or
Just
something.
threw shit at us.
Okay,
They
so
just threw so much shit at us, and so like we literally couldn't get through, and so we started sending people showers to try to pick some of that off.
So there are a lot of ways you can choose to play this. I think 2 showers isn't a bad approach to it, but if they are running this really passive 8-take setup, you have to abuse it and maybe get more ground than you usually would. So for example, let's say they're playing 2A and they're okay, because this is actually pretty important. You kind of do need to know, are they playing 3A or 2A doing this?
I think we make noise
as far as you
8
know.
short, so they rotate. There's like more on A for sure.
Okay.
We don't catch them at a time where there's like less, where they're like just holding.
So you have to play pretty silently on it. You generally don't make noise until you're committed to this burst. Because as soon as you make noise, somebody's probably going to gamble or rotate, and then it gets a bit dicey. But assuming you don't make noise, if there are only 2A, that means you can just walk a bit further than you usually do. So let's say like, you know, Sova and Raze are getting ready to use their utility, whatever. You can take some fights on site. If they're not opping and you're not dying, you know, it's totally fine to walk up here. Walking up is like it's pretty hard to do, because it's something you need a lot of confidence for. But if you can walk into U-Haul and maybe kill a person U-Haul and hold U-Haul, their plan is like really doomed, because now you have somebody in U-Haul on T side and they have no clue what to do. At this point, if you're worried about getting naded or shock darted, you can just TP to B. You can walk back to B and tell your A player to like, keep making noise. Lots of options here. But the key is, if they're playing 2A and they don't have Cypher on A, you have to like find some ground for yourself. So that usually involves walking in alone and winning your fight, which it's not easy at all. I know it does sound hard, and it is really hard, but it's something that if you can do,
they're
it's
just
great.
literally playing back of sight though.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Like they're literally not
backtrack and then heaven and then CT, like 3 of them.
like,
so if they're playing
backside,
you think they're just giving you like U-Haul, and
they give us sight and then they 5-man like retake, but really fast. Like they pretty much already
with
like they're all
util.
sitting CT. Yeah.
So if you're in U-Haul and they have 3 backside, you should be able to kill at least one of them.
So we should push it, because we never push past this past U-Haul.
You can push it if you like. So if you know they're gonna be sitting here with their utility out, pushing it isn't a bad play. You don't always want to push. I think the bigger issues probably is that in these takes it's probably a bit telegraphed, and they have time to rotate too many over. Because once they have numbers that heavy on the site, it does get really hard. But the key here is you can't make too much noise before the take comes out. And if you get in U-Haul and there's already like 3 or 4 backside, it's pretty hard to win. You should lose this theoretically.
How do you not tell? Like, we just have to walk up.
It's
Not
defaulting.
do
You
anything?
default it and you get rid of their info gathering. So, I'll talk about after this. The only topic I think left is like defense setups. But in my defense setup that we usually play, Cypher plays A, and usually that means there are like weird trips around short, weird cages, and there's a camp somewhere on the site, and that means the A defaulter has to break that stuff. So if Cypher is doing that, usually I as Raze would go break it. I throw a satchel here. It usually breaks all the trips around A, at least close, and then I kind of work up a bit. You know, you can jiggle heaven a bit just to be safe. Jiggle site. Jiggle other side of sight, and then at this point you can probably see or hear the camera. Once you break the camera, you just walk away. You know, you've destroyed Cypher's utility. He doesn't get it back except the cam, and you can just wait. You know, like if you can wait until like 20 seconds are left, it's not a huge deal. But in this time you're waiting, if they can't gather info on where you are, they cannot stack the site you're going to. So if you find you're running the stack site slot, it's just because you're being a bit too telegraphed. Or, you know, it could be an actual gamble, but that's a bit less likely. Usually it's because you're doing something that gives away what you're doing. And if you can identify what that is, that's great. But defaulting will help negate some of that stacking. Just because when you default, they can't stack a site since everything's the same. You know, there's presence everywhere. The only weakness to defaulting is, so if you do play against a team that defaults a lot, what that's weak to is like set pushes. So if I know the enemy team's defaulting, I'll just call like a 3-man A short push, and one person defaulting does not hold 3 people short pushing. Like they 1-for-1 at best, and once you push short, you get so much like advanced positioning that the round gets really chaotic, and that's how you deal with defaults. But if you're not getting like 3-man push like that, the default is just, it's just always like a positive, like a net positive play. You always gain from it, pretty much. So the back to the utility, you said they use a lot of utility here, and that's the proper way you do play the 8 take. But at the end of the day, the utility should just be stalling you. It shouldn't be like breaking the play open. So Sage might have to like plant once, fake it, walk back, wait for util, and you know, plant again. Maybe you have to plant a bit more out. But the only thing that can kill you in all these spots is Raze nades. Sova's shock darts are usually lineups, and if they're lineups, they have to be on you to hit you for max damage. Sova doesn't actually destroy people that hard with the shock darts, and since you are playing Sage, you have the like the saddest role in the game as the Sage planner. Everyone who plays Sage and plants, like it's awful. Like
I'll play Sage, it's okay.
like you tap the bomb, you dodge 3 Sova ults, you tap it again, you dodge a Raze nade, then you can finally plant it.
Did today.
Literally,
Yeah.
That's
my
actually
whole
what she did
fucking
today.
job.
That's how it goes. But you don't need the bomb down for your teammates to make their work U-haul. And if there's Sova's backside just ulting, like just go kill him. You know, like he's not allowed to do that. Yeah, so it comes down to like a lot of situational stuff. But if you know, like every round Raze just like sits here and like underhands her nade over, like you just push her later because she can't do this. She's gonna have her nade out, because if you don't nade as soon as the plan comes down, it usually doesn't get that much value. You know, whatever nade, I don't know, there's some weird ones, but yeah, it's
What the fuck?
I don't know. That's what Max used to do. I don't like it very much.
It doesn't really do.
Yeah,
anything.
it's good if they
Yeah,
plant like it's good that they plant here. It's like something you switch up.
Can you do the right click one again?
Yeah, so you just
I hit the wall. I like bounce it.
you just
but
jump in
I
right
don't
click
know
as you're moving forward. This is the one I
if you're
prefer to
the one that
do.
hits the wall.
No, I always do this one.
Oh.
You can do like something like this, right?
No, I hit the wall, back wall. I run.
Wait, you do
through it,
this?
back- Yeah.
Arena, no.
Okay, no. Mine hits the
I know. Okay, the issue with this is just that it takes a long time. It doesn't land that close to the bomb. It won't kill the person if they're planning.
Back out after and does a lot of damage.
If she has full armor, she won't die. So I like the right click nade because they'll die if they stick it. This usually this kills the player.
That's true.
But yeah, something you want to work on too. Apart from that, yeah, I guess the big thing about your issue is you just had to push U-haul here, and you can do it pretty safe. You know, you can jiggle it once,
I don't
jiggle it
ever do
twice.
I hate taking this
Here,
right
here.
side. I don't ever call to push it.
It's pretty
Also,
ippy.
if someone-
Yeah.
Someone holds from like, go out again. Like right in front of you.
Yeah.
No. To
Oh.
your left.
Like here?
No, go left. Look left. Look left. More left. One more angle.
Here?
People hold there
Oh,
all
in
the
Cubby?
time. Like holding me, pushing U-haul. Like
Wait.
I die here all the
Yeah.
time.
Wait, just kill them. Okay. Okay. Maybe. Okay. Maybe that's extreme. But if you know they're playing there, this is a pretty easy angle to like to duel someone on. Because you have the forward like idea, right? And if you just jiggle it and they mess up the spray up, you can wide swing and commit to it too. A lot of ways you can play around it. But
It's because like these teams, all they do is like they make sure all 5 of them or all whatever of them are there to retake. So they all AFK backside and they all AFK heaven and AFK CT.
So
So
here,
like if I push like it's like feeding them kills. You know?
here's the
They're all
principle
one-
behind this, okay? If they can play so passive and stack a site, that means it's telegraphed. But regardless of this, if they're giving you this much map control, that means you can take these more forward peaks. There are things that you're probably not used to because you're rarely in these positions in your normal games. But if a team gives you additional space, you take these fights still. You know, it's no different than like being a short and like fighting default. You know, it's just the same thing. But if they're switching it up, you can switch it up too.
Okay.
And if they are playing there, you know, you can nade it.
Then not always.
Yeah.
I also
Okay.
set
Yeah.
my nade for default so they don't peek while we take U-Haul.
So I have an idea what you're doing, like kind of like a set-ish nade. I think it's better to do less of those and use your nade just more like switch it up a lot, because whenever you do a default nade, it gets red pretty quickly. Because once someone dies to it, they're never going to die to it again, typically.
True.
But the big thing is, if they're giving you so much space, you're walking. You can probably walk up for free, right? Like, are they jiggling? If they're not jiggling you or getting info,
No, they're not. They're smoked off, so like they
Oh.
they know we're coming, but then like
okay, so the second you smoke,
can't do
the second you smoke, the play is telegraphed. I'll put that out there as just a general thing. Once you smoke, people like assume your play. Usually, you don't smoke to get a lurker in. Usually, if you're lurking here, let's say it's Cypher playing here, and you broke all his stuff, and you waited for like 10 seconds, you come back later. You can find a timing where the guy is actually not watching you, maybe, or you can take a fight with him. Like if he's default and he's not jiggling, you can just walk up, whatever, and then you go fight him U-Haul, and he's not U-Haul. Once you're here, this is such a good position. Like, if you're here and they don't know you're here, like, how OP is that? You know, like, you can just walk in U-Haul whenever you want. And maybe your teammates can even, like, make some noise B, and you can listen for rotates off, then you can keep walking up. This gets a bit more complicated, but that is how you'd kind of deal with it. Another easy way to deal with it, I forgot, is you can just, like, push the smoke, you know? Like, if they're going to be playing that passive backside, you can have the smokes come down, and if you're not having issues with U-Haul, you can just have the smokes come down, you can have Sage use the wall, like tap the bomb, and you can send like 3 showers, and you can just, you know, like burst out of smoke and just take these fights. And that's just a fight that you should be able to win if you haven't done it before. If you have a flash, that's great. If not, that's unfortunate, but I think typically you would want to flash for this. Or let's say in this scenario you guys pick Sova, you want like an arrow, and once you shoot the arrow and you're in the smoke, you can listen for where it's being shot from, and maybe you can come out and find an easy kill. But those are like the 2 main ways I think I deal with that. Big thing is though that I think the play is just a bit telegraphed, so they can stack it a bit too easily. But yeah, like I said, if they are playing like with their utility out, then you can just take a fight with them. And there might be someone holding you, but you just have to do your best to win or trade it. Like if you have 2 people here, peeking sight, let's say you die to this first guy, second person swings and they probably get a kill. Maybe 2 if there's someone with their like util out here or something.
I have a question.
Yes.
What if they insta break our wall? Like, because our wall is like a kind of crucial part of the plan. So what if they break it and we have like no site control? Like,
Where are they breaking it from?
From like default and backside.
The default backside, then your shower spray can probably deal with it. So if they can break your wall, they're pretty exposed to showers at some time. So like no matter where they are shooting the wall, their shower spray can pretty much see them, at least from my memory. And then the shower sprayer just punishes it.
Shower sprayer should try to kill.
Yeah, it's a lot of audio cues, right? It's a lot of like playing on like the audio that happens. But if they are just like spamming your wall from default every single time, the shower sprayer can usually break it. The exception is like if they are like kind of here and playing a bit more passive, maybe you can't do anything about it. But in that case, you can cancel the play, take TPB or something as they're stacking it. You have a couple options again. You can just like wait for 20 seconds and just walk out slowly. You can wait 20 seconds, not walk out, and look for picks. Anything works, because I don't feel like you're probably not limited on time in most of your rounds, right?
No, because we insta go A. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no.
We all,
Most
like, stand
most people are not limited on time, so yeah, you can just take some more time and do some more things.
Okay.
So the last topic is something just like setups I like to run. So I'm going to assume you're going to be running some. I'll just assume you're running like a Sage, Omen, Cypher, Raze, and some other duelist or a Phoenix. Like fantastic. Okay. So a common setup, you have Cypher and Raze play A. And what Cypher does is Cypher puts trips, cages all around here. There's some you can learn. I don't play Cypher, so I don't know all of them, but you can do like a diagonal one from here to wherever. You can do one from here to like there to there. There's like one on the floor you can do here.
We have Sage A short, and like it honestly works out pretty well. But should we? Do you like is Cypher just better on A or something?
I think Cypher is just better because Cypher plays with the Raze pretty well. Like you can use the Cypher info to help you decide when to use your utility. Like
How
the
about Sage, what should you do?
Sage usually goes B. Like you take some kind of control B. So in this setup, so my rule of thumb for buying is you play 3B, Oh, okay, so you play 2 on one site, 3 on the other, and Cypher's always on the weak site. So if you play 2A, Cypher's A. If you play 2B, Cypher's B. But you can adapt this to your preference, but at least back when this was still meta, every single pro team played 3B and 2A. It's just, B is really, really hard to hold. Like I said before, if you let them come up, like, long and hookah, you cannot hold the site. It's, like, pretty much impossible if they use any utility. So knowing that, people play 3B and you look for some aggression. So the way the setup works, you play 2A, 3B. You're playing retake A, right? Because your A is your weak side. You have Cypher put all his utility up, maybe like a cam here, a cam backside. I don't know. There's probably a lot of good cams you can do. And then you have Raze just kind of like chilling around U-Haul, maybe like jiggling a bit, listening. You can hold this angle if you think you win these.
What about showers?
You don't play, you play retake. Showers is open. So like Cypher plays really passively. So either backside.
I literally like die showers
Really?
every time. Like I have to. That's
What?
my
Why?
thing.
What do you
I
mean
have to
die
hold it.
showers?
I have to
No,
hold it.
I
have to
feel
hold it.
like we actually get pick showers like almost every
Oh,
every
we
time we
like
play
to push
showers. Like,
Yeah, we like
So-
to push showers.
So the default is this: you play like 2 passive on A and 3 on B, but you can switch it up by pushing showers occasionally. But you don't want to 2 showers every single round because then like your A is so weak. What if they just run up short like S5? You know, it's kind of rough.
Showers, though.
What
And
if they
I'm
what?
5-man showers.
Well, Cypher needs to be able to get info on both areas. So wherever the cam is, he can see the run out. And Cypher's backside here, like in his cam, whatever. Like you're not gonna die in U-Haul to someone coming out showers because you're not supposed to be peeking out U-Haul. If you're here, you're too far out.
Oh,
you-
I hide.
You have to be playing retake. So the key about retake is you just don't die. Like it's okay. It's gonna be hard at first, and like everyone gets flamed for this at some point, but you just cannot die if you're playing like the weak side. So you're playing here, you're jiggling. You can take some shots once in a while as they're coming up, whatever. And then let's say you hear them rushing at base short, doing the take. You throw your bot here, you get to the other side of U-Haul. You stay with your nade out. You're ready for the plant. And then over here, Cypher hopefully still has his cam. If he doesn't have his cam, maybe he jiggles showers once in a while, or he just listens and he tells you, "Hey, I'm not watching showers." Then you can be like, "Oh, okay," and you can hold the passive showers angle. And as your bot is traveling, you know they can't be in U-Haul. So that's just something you can do. That's how I usually play. And then when they plant, I throw the nade, and then I wait for my teammates to come, and then we take U-Haul together again. That's like a retake. So yeah, so that
Because like if it's just like holding, it gets really boring. So we just like walk out.
okay, but the key is that when Valorant's played pretty properly, it can be boring sometimes. It's pretty passive, but like your Cypher has cages and trips A, right? Like if Cypher cages and someone gets tripped, you can totally like swing in and kill them, you know? Like or ideally you stay here and you can just wallbang it. I used to play with the Odin a lot. I don't know if you remember, but I just when people get tripped, you just wallbang them if they keep running into them. Like it's
I
so
think
free.
we're just talking about different problems here. Us getting bored and us actually playing a beautiful game are two different problems.
No, I will peek short because I'm bored. Like jiggle it. Like today, remember I threw the boombot short and I got one tap.
I remember, yeah,
I'm
but
so
I think
bored.
that's
I
a
was
different
bored.
problem. I think
Yeah, no, you want to
I
try
don't think that's
just
something that. I'm sorry, I actually don't know your name.
Brad, yeah,
Brad,
Roxa,
I
whatever.
hope that's something Brad can help you on.
Like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Well, no, there is a solution. If you're bored, then you don't play Raze and you go be a B player because the B players push every round. So the A players are playing retake. Okay, so they're playing passively, and their goal is to get free kills at no risk. And once that happens, the retake's easier.
I play just to make TP. Is that like your only reason why? I can't play B.
No. The reason you play A is for the nade over the truck. Oh,
I
so
thought
that nade TP play, I never do it in like an actual like scrim typically. It's more like just for
Really?
like when I'm pugging
I
or
did
something.
it
Yeah.
during a tournament.
No, it's not
didn't tell me.
bad. It's okay. It's not bad, but it's not something I'll do with any like frequency at all. Because it requires you to know that there's no one A short, and that's impossible to know. Yeah, if they're
I went
defaulting.
And then Sage and I know they're not A short, and then I TP and I die.
Oh, why do you die? Timing off?
No, I like was 1v2 one time.
Okay, yeah. Then in that case, you just have to win. If you can't win, like
Good.
if you TP and you can't win your 1v2 here, you just probably do this a bit less. You know, it's something you just have
Don't
to.
do it.
That's fine. You cannot do it too. It's fine to play more passively. Like no problem with that.
So I hide and just wait for them. But like, I guess our problem is usually when we hear all of them running and there's like 2 people on site holding, we give it up. Should we give it up? Or should we
Yeah.
fight?
No, your goal is to so you don't. There's a fine line between AFKing and still looking for free kills. Like Cypher has cages, right? So let's say Cypher's on site and the smokes come down. Then Cypher like pops his cages and he just like spams through the smoke, you know? Like this is a lot of times free damage. Same thing, you can spam through U-Haul. You can like spam the corner, free damage. And if they run into a trip, that's a kill every time unless you mess it up. And if you get a kill and none of you die, the retake is infinitely easier, and maybe they even cancel. But
So we shouldn't like just run away, CT.
you don't go that
Sometimes we do
far.
that sometimes.
Usually I don't run back further than like here.
Okay.
You don't want to let them actually be able to have like all of this like for free, like comfortably. It's a bit too much. But you just give up U-Haul and you give up like front sight and you give up the shower's doorway, I guess. Because you can still hold like this when they come out showers and hold for the shower's exit. But you don't want to be like full on just like holding like here. It's a bit too easy to die there. Yeah, but the key with this setup is Cypher has to find value off his util. And if like the only way you don't find value is if they have somebody defaulting and breaking all your stuff, in which case like that's pretty rough, and you can move it around. The shower ship is good. The one that goes like outside, that one's pretty solid. You can do a trip for like in U-Haul, that's pretty solid. But the key is you have a lot of options here. The trip that goes from here to here, like I think it almost always hits someone on the stairs. Like every time I played a game, it hits someone. If you put a cage on it, when like if you're smoked off and someone hits your chip, you pop your cage, you just kill this guy and you're done. It's like so many options you can have like guaranteed kills, and that's why I think Cypher A is good, just because it works well with Raze because it gives Raze the info she needs to like make certain decisions.
Yeah.
And then finally the B players, you have 3 B here. This will be Sage, Omen, and Phoenix, and pretty much you're looking for info every round. So the most passive way you're allowed to get info is you sit in hookah and you listen. And you just listen for running outside. And if you hear like 5 people running up, then you just run away. If you hear like nothing, after a certain timing, you have to run away too, because odds are they could be walking up on you. You can either run away if you're alone, or you can fight it with 2. So you want to put 2 either in hookah or 2 in octagon, and you can play these more aggressive positions, and you don't want to let them have too much free control. So you usually either play 2 in hookah or literally 2 in octagon. You can also do like a B walk down push. One person holds a bit wider on the right, one person walks down, and you do this mainly if you think it's only one person defaulting B. If they send like 2 or 3 B every round, don't do this. It's like suicide. But if you think they're alone, oftentimes you can get this kill for free. And once you're like in this area, as you get the kill, you can kind of like get some flank presence. And even if you just sit here the whole game, it puts so much pressure on the enemy team. In hookah, similar concept. Usually what we do hookah is we have 2 or 3 hookah, and we have Phoenix have a flash out, and you don't flash instantly, you flash on a timing. It has to be, you have to do your mental arithmetic, whatever you want to call it, and just think about where they can be. And when you think people are around this area is when you want to flash. You don't want to flash when they're all the way back, because if you flash instantly, they're just going to hide. But if you wait for them to be walking up, and let's say they're doing their default and they get blind, like in 2 of you swing, most of the time this trade is favorable for you. And if you have 3 swing, even better. And same thing, be long. Phoenix can just stay here with the flash out, and when he thinks it's the right time, he can chuck a flash and swing with the teammate. This B-long one's a bit easier, so what you can do is you can have one person here, and they can kind of like jiggle this, and once he sees anyone, Phoenix flashes, and then you both swing.
Then they didn't come along.
That's fine. So if they don't come along, then you can just walk out of it a bit earlier. The second you flash and see no one, you pretty much have someone walk away. Or you can't always push it because it becomes predictable, right? But yeah, either or, you can walk down, you can walk back, you can stack A, whatever you want to do, you know? So this is like your CT side default. It's just a good way to like probe for info and get aggressive, because like I said, you can't let them get into hookah and octagon for free, or the game gets hard. And if you prevent that from happening, you can often take like a fight that you're more favorable in. So like taking a fight from site here is like a hardcore 50-50. But if you flash hookah and peek, this is more like a 60-40, 70-30 kind of thing. And that's when it gets good. And the more you do this, the more you'll catch on to little things people can do. So when you peek, if you flash and peek and see no one, could be someone hiding, you know, back here, on your right. They can be hiding, so you have to play this a bit carefully. And usually after I flash and see no one, I'll just back off. And regardless of if people are there or not, if they're not blind and you don't kill them instantly, it means you missed the timing. Like, you don't hunt them down. You don't like try to force your hand here. You just acknowledge that my Phoenix flash is too early, and then you know, go play, I don't know, something weird in hookah. You can have like one person playing like an off angle on this box. You can have one person ready to swing on contact. Anything you want, you know. You can have one person. One of the things is you have one person hiding here and one person on site. They can see the entrance, and then the person behind the box gets like some free kills. And the whole time you do this, you also have one person probably like here just jailing long, or they can be a bit more aggressive actually jiggling long, depending on what your comfort is. But doing that, you have like a lot of flexibility on how to play B. and that's just up to your B players to find out how they like to play it, explore the options you have, and just make the most of it. On A, like I said, it's pretty simple. You just don't die. If you ever want, you can push showers. I'm sure you know how to push showers. You just go together and just shoot them. You can push A short if you're really feeling it, or if you're opping. Like I said, you just walk in here, take a shot, and you're free to go, pretty much, if you're playing Razor Jet, whatever. Any other questions about setups? Or anything in general?
Nami, how about you guys?
I don't
To
know.
try
This
it.
was very thorough.
Yeah, I do this. I do this for like I did this for the UCLA team too. It's pretty like it's a lot of like thinking that goes into the game, but it should help. And worst case, like at least defaulting will get better and everything will be worked on. You don't have to like get it all instantly, but if once you can do it, it'll make your win rate go up by like a lot. But
Yeah, I think we just have to practice and just see how it works.
yeah, for sure. And you don't have to follow things to like exact T, but just having all these options in your head will allow you to make more decisions. Like let's say you do what you usually like to do and it doesn't work, then maybe you can try something, or vice versa. And if you're struggling with a certain site, maybe you can do one of the setups or switch it up a little bit. Anything works, right? If for some reason your Raisin Cypher just cannot like play retake A and they have to die, just play 3A, whatever. Like sometimes there's no solutions. You can also move Cypher around if you want. It's a little bit harder to do because then everyone needs to know how to play both sides pretty much. But Cypher can be switched to B and you play 3A instead. So a lot of options you have. Yeah. I think that's about it. If anything, the whole trading on postplants and like covering each other is the biggest thing. Like playing those like bait and switch angles, like even if they're really bad angles, like they're just like not that great, it'll still work out for you because it's a really easy way to trade. And stuff like that will just guarantee that you don't like you never want to like really throw. So whenever we used to like go somewhere and get like 3K'd by one person, we'd always get like screamed at. Our IGL is pretty aggressive, but like if there's something you want to once you can avoid stuff like that, then you never lose rounds that are like really rounds you shouldn't lose, and then you'll be having a better time. But yeah, I hope that helped. If any questions, feel free to ask me or Alvina. Alvina can ask me either, or no big deal.
Don't ask me. I don't know the answers. I didn't even know this stuff.
Well, you can.
I knew, but like I don't know.
You've watched this before, yeah.
No. Back when I was watching it, I was like silver, and I kind of like was on my phone while you were talking.
That's fair. That's fair.
Now it like makes sense.
But yeah, yeah. But that's about it. Any questions, feel free to hit me up. Thanks for listening. Hope that helped. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you for your time.
For sure. And I'll upload the VOD to YouTube, and you can do whatever you want with it.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right.
And then we can share it with all the Galarian teams, and they can